Hi everybody, this is Lee, and in a previous video, I was talking about the uh, Financial Choice Act and the fact that how harsh and harmful that type of bank deregulation would be upon consumers, the ordinary citizen, and that it was a financial and economic attack on us, the people, and that attack was being facilitated by our U.S. Congress. And so I suggested that it's a time for talking and the begging for them to do their job of representing us, the people, as opposed to the corporations. That talk time was over. And I suggested that those who can be recalled, that recall movement start now. That we're barely into this administration and they've been sending legislation this, like this, under the cover of the Donald Trump Jim Comey clown show that's taking place in Washington, D.C., that the Congress has been sending legislation through and through and through, from the House to the Senate, from the House to the Senate, like clockwork. And it's very harmful. It's extinction level event legislation that's moving through our U.S. Congress from one body for deliberation to the other. And the Financial Choice Act was one. There was also a vote to sell about $500 million worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia, of all countries, for dubious reasons. And, the strong message that we sent was basically, okay, here's your weapons. Now give us our money. Where's the money that you got your weapons, give us the money. That's our moral authority in the world. And so now we come to the AHCA, which we saw the House version, which was very devastating, but it passed the House and went to the Senate. And now the Senate is working on its own version. And people are speculating about 80% of what the House wanted, the Senate will keep. It's a Republican-dominated Senate. There are 13 male Republicans who are deliberating on that bill in secret. That the deliberations are about as secret as the trade deals were secretive, and that once details emerged or were leaked, there was a leaking of the trade deals, and people discovered what our lawmaking body was willing to do to us in terms of servicing the corporations, the multinational corporations. At least one presidential candidate was taken down because of that. And so now we come to the AHCA, the American Health Care Act, the same level of secrecy. Hopefully there will be a leak. Likely there will be a leak. And out of necessity, we need to know the details so we know what we're fighting against. But if it's 80% of what the House wanted, we're in a bad place. And it seems like Mitch McConnell is attempting to be strategic, the Senate Majority Leader, that he's got about 2 weeks before the break, before the 4th of July holiday, and that he's running out the clock underneath the Jim Comey, Donald Trump distraction. And they're making their deliberations, and they're going to send it to the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, for a score to see what the impact will be on the United States citizenry and consumers. And the CBO will score it, and then, the Republicans will probably dispute that score and say the CBO doesn't know what they're talking about. And then they'll vote on it underneath the cover of the 4th of July holiday and the whole James Comey stuff going on. And so basically they're ramming through legislation that maybe 8% of the American population actually supports, which means 92% of us don't want it. That almost all of us object to that legislation, and that they're planning to vote on it anyway. And that's what governing looks like to the Republican Senate, apparently. And so that's why I said in my previous video that it's time, you can talk to them if you want to, but they've shown you who they are. you've been seeing all this year of what they're willing to do to you. And now we're talking about healthcare. We're talking about life or death decisions. We're talking about people with pre-existing conditions like age. I'm getting older. Well, that's a pre-existing condition, so you pay twice as much as everyone else. This is Logan's Run now. And so, it's getting, it's, it's amazing, and not in a good way, of what, the hard, cold facts, the cold equations that are being applied to our lives. And that's what they are, cold equations, actuarial equations being applied to us to see who's worthy of living and who's worthy of not living. And that's what they're calling freedom. The freedom to have your free market choice of whether you can afford to buy health care, health insurance in order to maybe get, or however they're describing it. It sounds silly, but they're saying the words freedom a lot. Freedom to not be able to afford health care. That's what it really is, I think. And so I just said, now that we know what they're willing to do, the steps that they're willing to take, the coldness, the lack of empathy, the lack of any kind of consideration for others, for women, for children, for the elderly, for those with disabilities. It's something pretty scary. And so I say use the tools that are available to you. And if a recall is one of those tools, then now is the time, I think, to use it. So again, I'm looking for information on the list of states that allow this to recall a member of the U.S. Congress, and I think I found two, but I'm trying to make sure that my list is complete. And so if you find a list, please post it in the description, and I'll try to post this in the comment section, and then I'll try to post what I can in the description and maybe the comment section too. And so we can kind of figure out, like, we need to start, calling some people home. Like, you know what, you did your best, apparently, and we're going to have to replace you. We're going to have to repeal you and then replace you. Maybe repeal and recall you. Recall you and replace you. I think, yeah, that's it. Recall and replace your congressman. But anyway, I mean, you see what they're willing to do, and the question is, what are you willing to do? And I say, good luck. And again, if you have any information, please share it below. I'd appreciate it. Good luck.